We were probably at our best in the fourth quarter. I know they subbed a few guys. That's part of the game. No question about that. But we offensively, and I've said this, I guess, a couple of times. We had some stuff in the first quarter. I don't know that we could have beat them. I'm not going to go make that statement, and get them all riled up or whatever. But in the first quarter, we should have been winning the game. You know what I'm saying? We got the ball. We had the right play on the first play, and we didn't throw the pass. It was a pass, and we ran it. Okay, that's probably not a good idea. Do it that way. And then on third down, we had the perfect matchup that we wanted. We were going to go to Shane Calhoun on their safety. They gave us the exact look we wanted. We'd run a freeze play. We knew that when we look, they don't look. They ain't going to change the play, and we underthrew it. Okay, but then we came back and punted them in the hole. What a great job by our punt team, and we stuffed them right there. We got 30 yards field position, so that's what we wanted to do. And we had a situation where we could have thrown a couple balls out on the perimeter. We didn't do it, and then we got third down, and we got beat with a twist, and he got hit throwing it. And Jalen Johnson's open by about 8 yards. He's going away. He may score. If he don't score, he's down inside the 20. And, boy, we gave them 56 yards to go score, and they did it. So, that was a disappointing part. But we looked back and thought, wow, we were right there. All we got to do is just do what we could do, because it wasn't a twist where it shouldn't have been picked up. It was a bust.
Coach, two quarterbacks, obviously, you're trying to get them reps.
Yep.
But you got to go win games, too. So on game day, what is that balance like? You want to give them opportunities, but you got to win the game.
Yeah, what we've had to do is I've had to cut back Raheem. That's where the first cut has come. In that the third quarterback's pretty much got to just learn by osmosis. You know what I'm saying? He's got to do it in the meetings. He's got to study it. He's got to come in, and do all the things like he would normally do. But he's not going to get to actually practice that rep, because there's not enough reps. You can't keep the rest of the guys out there, for 4 hours, because you need three quarterbacks to get all these plays, one to the left, one to the right, versus all the different defense. So the first thing I've had to do is cut him back. He's worked a little bit against our defense to stay sharp. He's done a great job there. That'll help him probably as much as anything else. So we're down to 2, and we talk every day, and we kind of go back and forth, I guess, a little bit. But what I've said time and time is, right now I think we need both guys. I think we need both guys, and sometimes we may have to go to the bullpen, and we may just have to do whatever, because it's a win business, and they're no different than the left guard. You know what I'm saying? When the tight end, everybody has to go earn what they get, and the quarterbacks are no different. And I think the players respect that. You know what I'm saying? That they have to go and earn that. And so right now, I've told each one of them, he's your best friend. You're his best friend. You need him. He needs you. Be a team player. It's all about the team. Pull for each other. You'll make each other better. Eventually, it will work itself out. And it did not work itself out enough before the first game, and it hasn't worked itself out enough for the second game right now. But I'm not really concerned about that. Like I say, I haven't done it a lot, but we did win the Hawaii Bowl doing that.
With Mason, it seemed like early in the game he just wasn't throwing the ball with the conviction.
Yeah.
Mental, or just him not doing the
I don't know. I just blame myself in that I must have emphasized, don't try to win the game yourself. When you're going into that kind of environment, first game, let's don't beat ourselves. They remember what you say last. I think they remember what you emphasize a little bit, and he did. And I don't want to sit here and talk about him so much, but early, I thought it would relax him if we let him throw it down the field, because that's what he does really well. So the first play, he should have chunked one 40 yards down the field, and he was trying to I don't want to mess up a little bit, I think too much. And the reason that we made the change was just for that reason, to say, hey, we're not putting you out there just to stand there and hand it off. There are some RPO opportunities here that you're really, really good at. I thought we had the game plan set to fit what he did well. When he came back, then I thought he did that. I thought he was more relaxed, and he was kind of like, well, hell, they've already taken me out once. So, once you've gotten that first scolding or whatever, you've gone through that, you're better at it the next time. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. I got grounded, but the second time, it rolled off my back a little bit more. By the time I got grounded for the 20th time, you know what, they'd about given up on me probably. So I think that was part of it. You know what I'm saying? All right, just get you out, let you look at it. You know, luckily Alex came in and gave us a little bit of a lift. But it was time. I told him at halftime, Alex will go first, but you'll go right in the next series. And so it did happen to go that way. But I thought he finished well. So I think we got some momentum there. I think playing at home, I just think second time around, I think he was I think he felt the good from the team. I don't know what happened in the outside world because we kind of, made sure he disconnected to that. I hope he did. He seems like nothing's bothered him. But I know the team's rallied around him, and they've rallied around Alex as well. And, all that. That's what really matters.
Marshall had 7 sacks Saturday and
Yeah.
5 against ECU 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
how do you keep those QBs from the
Well, we did a lot of protection, different deals. We kept some tight ends in, chip in. We did some different things, 7-man pros. We max pro'd a little bit. We tried to get it out of our hand quickly. That's our game anyhow. I mean, we're an RPO team that likes to run the ball if you'll let us have a chance, so we'll continue to do that. But, the offensive line is starting to gel. It's still not there. We know that. It's a lot of 5 different fingers right now trying to become a fist, and Coach Mogers is doing a great job, but we will do okay there. I know they were disappointed that Michigan didn't get a sack. That was a big deal to them, I guess. Sometimes pressures are actually worse for you than the actual sack is because the interception was a pressure. I wish they'd have sacked him. In hindsight, we could have punted. Our punter was on fire. That would have been a lot better. As long as we kept, I think the pressure would have gotten on them because when you're playing that game, we played that Charleston Southern, you're not winning enough. All of a sudden, you start pressing a little bit, and nobody plays their best, I don't think, when they're pressing like that. So we lost that opportunity to do that to them. If it had been 0-0, it could have been 0-0 at halftime, we would have been winning, I think. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know there's a lot of people who would have been like, well, I just wanted you to score 1,000. Well, yeah, we all want to do that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what high school they tried to play at, but they didn't score 1,000 either, I'm pretty sure.
Coach,
Might have been Conley. I remember Conley when Stephen was there.
you mentioned 2 quarterbacks. How do you kind of take into account who's hot and who's not and trying to bounce around while still?
Well, I think that part is pretty obvious, I'll say, in that who's moving the ball. It could be about who's completing passes. It could be about who's making runs, but it's really probably more about who's moving the chains, who's moving the ball, who's scoring some points. And so it's like any other sport you do. You figure out who's hot. Sometimes it's just the feel. You know what I'm saying? After so many years, you just can see it in their eyes. You can just kind of tell by their attitude, where they're at. And you get that feeling for this guy's, he's feeling it. Let's get him the ball.
Sorry to ask a hypothetical, but if your starting quarterback scores a touchdown the first 2 drives, do you roll with it or do you get the other guy in?
Well, no, I think that's a good question. I don't think you ever mess with the mojo. You know what I'm saying? Going into the game, we had told Alex, you will go. And we didn't say a specific series just because of that. Now, me and Coach had talked about it being the 3rd or the 4th one. Coach kind of liked maybe at the quarter break, which it turned out to be. And I thought that was a good idea. But, of course, we always, reserve the right to say, well, we just changed our mind. We're rolling right now. I don't think you take the hot guy out now. And the other guy would understand that because he wouldn't want us to take him out if he ever has that role.
Yeah. So, hats off to Michigan. Good football team. Beautiful place up there. Got a lot of good things going. Beautiful indoor. Wish we had to save our legs right now from the heat and save our legs for Saturday. But, the way the game started out, I think we just, defensively couldn't start out a better way. Had the ball on -1 back there, had them backed up, and just the way our kids went out and competed to start the first 3 plays of the game and playing at the edge. Thought we had a safety there. Elijah Morris comes off a block. Deontay Johnson comes off a block, and sent Teagan on a blitz there. And almost have an opportunity to hit him for a loss and hit him in the backfield for safety, which would have been an even bigger start in the big house. But I don't think our kids were, they gave them some confidence coming off the sideline there, and they weren't going to back down from those guys. And they're a bunch of good players and a good old line up there. And then second series of the game, I think we had a 3rd down, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Get Jordan Huff in the game, who I think is going to be a really special player for us this year, and give us an opportunity to do some different things defensively. And thought he had some really good coverage on I think Roman Wilson, number 1 out in the China ball, corner ball, 7 cut. And J.J. McCarthy put a nice ball in there. They completed it. We weren't able to punch it out. And then they drive on down that series, get them in the red zone, the 3rd down. And then he scrambles again, gets across. If you get off the field right there, if the call goes the other way for us, I think you hold them to 3. I think you feel good about 3 points in the first quarter. Now, then in the second drive as well, I think we had an opportunity to get off the field on 3rd down. And they hit a flat route over there in the boundary on Siobhan. But, I told our guys, that's a good football team. And they got, in preseason, they got 3 Heisman candidates between the 2 tailbacks and the quarterback. And if you don't play your best, you don't play, fundamental perfect football, they're going to find you. And you see that on tape. I think there's only one football team that held them less than 4 touchdowns last year. I think the least amount of rushing yards they had all last year was somebody held them to 165, 160. So I think it's been quite a while, a couple seasons since they've been held to 120 something, whatever it was. So we did some good things, but there's certainly things that we can take from that game and build on and move forward and make sure we correct. And I said that sometimes when you go play, maybe an average football team or whoever, some of those mistakes don't show up or they don't show up in practice against your scout team. But when you make them against a good football team like that, they're going to make you pay. And that's what good football teams do, and that's where we got to get to and we got to strive for. So, we had 5 guys that were taking snaps, the most snaps they've ever took in a Pirate uniform. Our 2 corners, IBM, Tymere Brown, Siobhan Revel, Taylor Jackson, that's the most he's played defensively. Mike Edwards, that's the most he's played defensively. B.J. Davis is new out there. Ra Dilworth, even Kingston McKinstry and Jordan Huff have been here. That's the most they played. And I thought all those guys show promise that they're going to do good things for us this season, and we can count on them, and they're going to be good players down the stretch for us. So, we got to keep building on that and build on the momentum and make sure we correct the mistakes we made last Saturday, get them fixed for this Saturday, and get prepared for Marshall.
Coach, kind of did your job, stop the run, which I know was the emphasis going in. It seemed like y'all had good coverage, like you said, on multiple occasions. Is part of it you just have to tip your cap to McCarthy and situations like that at times?
Yeah, I think so. Going in, they want to be a run-first football team, and I know they hurt us through the air a little bit, and I think we're a lot better in the secondary than we were a year ago. So I don't think that's a concern to me right now. And we got to make sure we're good back, cleaned up back there. But I think we're a lot better than we were a year ago. And our main focus was, if you don't stop the run against those guys, you're never going to see the ball in the air. So for them to respect us enough to put the ball in the air, I think something says something about how we were playing it. And a few of them were bang plays. I mean, the yards after catch, the yak yards was very minimum. I think I counted like 70 yards, yak yards. Which just tells me it was bang. He's making a catch. I think we got him backed up there, PN10, first play of a series. McCarthy, they throw a dagger right across the middle on IBM, Isaiah, and, he's bang play. I think you're playing anybody else in the country. That throw may not be humming in there, and he may have a chance to break it up. And their receivers made some contested catches. So hats off to those guys. But we got to keep working it. The Tyson drill, we're calling it with our DBs and punching the ball out and, doing a better job getting hands in the face of the quarterback. And getting pressure on the quarterback, too. We get back there a few times, and he does a good job evading it and just getting rid of it, dropping it off to the running back one time. And, we got to make sure we get home with our pressures. And those backs, I mean, they probably block as good as I've seen in my career. They step up and they get you. They're known for running the football, but those 2 running backs now, they step up and they'll take you on. And I thought Kingston McKinstry had a nice blitz one time and pops it outside and gets outside at JD, but they did a pretty good job. And we got to be better, and obviously we will get better. Those competition like that, it only forces you to get better.
Talked to a Marshall guy, said that when they got down to Albany, they went into warp speed, and that really got their offense turned up and kind of wore down Albany. Is that something you kind of focus on this week, that quick, fast pace?
Yeah, certainly a different tempo this week than it was last week. Last week it was for the most part huddled. I think one time Michigan might have went a hurry tempo on 3rd and short that kind of caught us off guard a little bit. But these guys will be, we keep comparing them to our offense and what we have been in the past as far as just some tempo, especially after a made first down or after a big play or maybe short yard, 2nd and short, 3rd and short. They're going to be some tempo stuff there. So we prepared for that and got our kids ready. And whether it's a tempo drill against our offense or just, try to get our scouts to run 2 or 3 snaps in a row as fast as they can go, or second scout team, flying them up there to run a play. So you got to be heads up for that. And we tell our guys the best way to stop tempo is stop them for a negative play. don't let them gain yards. And if you do that, you do your job defensively, then there is no tempo. Now you give up a play, and they get a first down, you're going to see tempo. So we continuously talk about that. When they, and when they sub, we're going to try to sub, slow it down a little bit, just things you usually do to handle some tempo and help yourself out as well.
Seemed like BJ Davis played well, kind of did what y'all brought him in to
Yeah.
defend the pass well. Is that kind of good to see a guy you brought in like that?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's not necessarily, like, he played well, and that's not necessarily his strong point. It is a downhill football, run football team like Michigan, but I thought he held his own in there. I mean, I think, over the next 10 ball games, 9 ball games, whatever it is, before we play Navy, that's getting out in space and covering ground and dropping back into coverage. I think he's got something like 12 picks in his career. That's more of his game, and just using that long body and his attributes in the pass coverage and pressuring too. So I'm really excited about him. And, all those guys, Ra-Ra's the same. Jordan Huff's the same. Just the fact they can cover some space and cover some ground out there. So, Siobhan's very similar. I mean, Siobhan, he probably feels a lot more comfortable in extended number one playing man on him than he does fitting the run box. But he fit it well. I mean, he stuck it up in there. I think second play of the game, he's in on the tackle in the B gap. So he'll certainly throw it around.
It's not basketball where you can do like a box and one or double team, but when they got a guy like Ali, does he require extra attention from your defense?
Yeah, and if you see him having to go to the sideline, make sure you stick your foot out and tripping for us and stuff like that. But we all, our kids, coaches, our players, our coaches, we know who Ali is firsthand from 2 years ago and the season he had 2 years ago. And we got a heavy dose of him 2 years ago, and he hurt us. And we got to make sure we don't let that happen again. And he's a good football player. He single-handedly, in my opinion, won the game for him last week. I think number 10 caught a little bubble screen in the red zone, broke a tackle, got the first touchdown. But Ali, looks like he scores the next two and made some big plays. I think the first play of the game, he actually took it to the house. I think 70 yards or something like that. And they had a penalty, or otherwise they go up 7-0, probably look back. So you got to make sure you keep him in check. The quarterback, 14's certainly a good player. He's lefty. He's a very much of a, I call him a Holt Nailers. He's an operator. He's going to RPO game you. He's a point guard, John Stockton. I'm just, trying to teach my guys a little bit about history of NBA. They didn't know who John Stockton was, so I was impressed. But, he's more of a point guard, going to deal the ball around. And that's kind of his game. RPO, zone read, latches, those type of things in there, and deal it around. I think he was 28 of 35 last week. I think out of those 28 passes, only 4 of them were, past 10 yards. So most of them are at the line of scrimmage or less than 10 yards. It just tells you their RPO game, bubbles, screen game, so that type of stuff. So, which allows us, we got to figure out ways to take that away, and that's a part of the run game for us. The RPO game is, so we got to make sure we're taking both those away.
I thought naked eye, the tackling was really good for your guys. It's one-on-one tackles, things like that. What did you see?
Yeah, I think game one, you always worry about that. Game one, you always walk in like, hey, we had 20 missed tackles or something like that. I think we had less than 10. And part of that, I think, is the fact that everything was in, old school football in a small space and small box there. But I was really impressed with how our guys tackled, for the type of players and type of level of running backs those guys are. I thought we did a good job tackling them. And this week I told the guys, we got to keep getting our feet to contact, make sure we don't lunge. We get all the way there, make sure we keep the cup and keep leverage on the ball, because this week you're going to find yourself in more space than you did last week. So that was my biggest emphasis to our defense this week. So, but I thought overall we did a good job. If that'll show up every week, I think we can win some games with that.
I think y'all used 23 or 24 guys defensively. Is that around the number?
Yeah.
Ideally wanted that, or you want to get more guys in?
Yeah, that's about. I mean, I don't think we played anybody that we're not planning on playing each and every week. I think those guys have earned the right to play, and they continue to do that, and we'll continue to try to find the best combination and getting the best 11 on the field, and we continue to have discussions about that, who that may be. And we got several guys that have shown up that they need a few more snaps, and they're earning those snaps, and not just looking at them and going to give it to them, but they're earning it. So, I don't. I'm surprised it was 23. I thought it was more like 19, but I can see that being correct. I think Sam Dank is a kid that I don't know how many snaps he got, but he's a guy that you can see as the season goes on getting more and more snaps.
Coach, you mentioned the difference between the old school football and now more of the spread offense you're going to see. Is there play a little wider than they were last week, just to kind of not get beat to the sideline?
Yeah, you mean grass on, basketball on grass or whatever we used to call it? Yeah, I guess that's the new school football. And the Michigan, you don't see that much anymore, so it's kind of gone by. I think we'll see that probably Charlotte week, and obviously Navy week's a little bit different. But outside of those, everybody else is going to spread us out. But yeah, I think there's different ways to leverage the ball. Whether it's you cover two and you're playing outside leverage with your corners. Ways to bracket those guys and keep everything inside. I think the 2-minute drill, probably one of the ways you're referring to there, just got beat to the sideline a few times. And really for us, it was, hey, make sure we don't give up the cheap one down the field here, because they certainly have the capability to do that. And really, though, I think one of the flat balls, we should just buzz the flat a little faster with the Sam. We got out there a little quicker. But, I thought the corners did a good job. We didn't give up the big ball. I think the biggest play we gave up was the run. I think it was the 37-yard run, and we didn't replace fast enough on the crack. Explosives overall, I think we gave up that run. We had another run in the on a cover 3 that I got us in a pass call, and it was 2nd and 9. Thought they were going to throw the ball. Got us in a little cover 3 pass call. They slid off a run in there from 12, 15 yards. But most of their throws were 10, 15 yards down the field, so we didn't give up the big play, and that's what we want to do. Make sure we keep it in front of us, make them earn it. Now, you're playing a good football team, so they can. But that's kind of where we're at. So, and that'll be our philosophy all year. Marshall the same. Hey, we're going to be aggressive and choose our points and times, and but we don't want to give up the home run, the big ball either.